Good morning, everyone. My name is Sneha Mukherjee, and today I'm going to present on the topic resources in language teaching. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. This is a quote by Benjamin Franklin, and this is what learning resources is all about. Learning resources is majorly about the involvement of students so that they can understand a topic better, and it would also help in their retention of the topic. As we know, the traditional method of teaching was only about blackboard and chalks and a continuous lecture, but learning resources has completely changed that, as they are now assisting and facilitating the learners and the teachers too. What actually they are? They are any tools, materials, or devices used by teachers and students to facilitate any kind of teaching. For example, it can be about language acquisition. As we know, grammar practices can be done with the help of quizzes and through other kinds of apps and sites. Now, moving ahead to the types of learning resources, we have that in four kinds. First, the print resources. Now, what are these print resources? Any kind of textbooks, the copies that are provided to us by the school or the educational institution for the support of our learning can be the print resources. It can also be notes provided in PDF forms which can be downloaded from the internet and then printed out for our support. Now, moving on to the digital sources. What are these digital sources? So these are the laptops, computers, which aid us in teaching and learning. How? We know that there are apps like QuizMe, then Duolingo, where the students are currently learning languages, they are teaching languages, there are educators and learners who are connected throughout in the world because of this digital sources. Moving on to the audio visual resources, this involves the multimedia kind of PPTs which can be used in the classroom for the support of teaching and learning. A clip or a short video or a film shown on a particular story or a poem always helps in maintaining the attention of the students. They won't feel bored, and this kind of resources makes their imagination grow, and it also helps in their creativity. These kinds of resources are all made with the help of apps and sites which are available in the Google, or we are also currently using AI like Gemini's, Claude, ChatGPT, with the help of which this kind of resources are easily made. In this slide, I'll talk about the functions of learning resources. Like, why do we need these resources? It helps in the increasing of engagement. As we know, the traditional method left no scope for the interaction between the students and the teachers. But this learning resources will obviously help in bridging that gap, and it will capture the attention and maintain interest of the students. Clarifying concepts. As we know, some of the concepts can be very confusing. It can be abstract and not at all easy to understand or grasp by the students. This learning resources makes those difficult concepts very simple and easy, and they can be easily understood by the students. They provide context. Some of the stories or the poems that is read by the teachers leave no room for any kind of imagination, or the descriptions are not very easy to follow. But with the help of learning resources, such gaps can also be reduced. They provide context for whatever the chapter is and helps in the imagination of the students. Cater to learning styles. We know not every student can grasp a simple concept or the same concept in the same way, but for their better understanding, we can create individualized learning styles or methods that will help them in understanding of the stories or the poems or any other kind of learning. Promote autonomy, as sometimes the students do not only learn from classes, they also learn from YouTube, or they try to follow a self-paced learning. This learning resources provided by teachers can help them in doing so. They can learn at their own time with their own comfort, and this would always help in their better performance. Now, moving on to the general principles for preparation and selection, the first point that comes is the validity. The learning resource should be valid. It should be related to the chapter that is being taught in the class and should not be something absurd or out of context. Then it should be age appropriate. A student who is learning something in class 6 should not be given a learning resource of class 9, because that would not make any sense and it would not help the child. It would only increase his confusion. language level. The language level should be very easy and simple for the students to understand, because the learning resources are such kind of resources which will aid the students in their studies, not make their studies more and more difficult. Cost and accessibility. The learning resources made should be easily available. The cost of making them should not be very much, otherwise it would not be very helpful for the teachers to be made. And lastly, cultural sensitivity. The learning resource should not have any kind of judgment or prejudices that are followed in them. They should be liberal, open-minded, and something that promotes equality and justice, not something which will create divide among students. Here I have the preparation of learning resources. Firstly, identification of objectives and goals. The learning resources should be such that it is very much related to the objective of what is being taught in the class. Next, analysis of learners' needs and level. The learning resource should always cater to the needs of the students, and it should be student-centric. We should think how this learning resource will help the student and how easily we can provide it, make it that it is understood by the students. Selection of content. The learning resources should have such content that is not very confusing and not complex. It is very much from the text that is being taught, and very much attractive, so that it creates curiosity and interest among students. Selection of appropriate resources and materials. If we need to show a video for a particular chapter or a lesson, then we will show the video for that lesson. But when we need to use a chart or a 3D model for the same lesson or for another lesson, we will do so. We will not mix up too many teaching learning resources in one way or method. And collection of raw materials. We should gather supplies that are easy to find and helps us in making learning resources, which is very durable and will work for a long time. Designing and planning the resources. This resources should be made in a very creative way, and it should be very generating curiosity among students, so that it looks attractive, it is informative, the information provided should be correct in the learning resources. Here in this slide, we have the utilization of learning resources. Firstly, fixing objectives of utilization. We need to follow a good protocol of why we are needing this learning resource. Then, checking suitability to content and learners. The learning resource should be suitable for the classroom, for the lesson taught, and for the students. Proper presentation demonstration of the resources. The presentation of the learning resources should not be chaotic, and it should be clearly visible. If there is any kind of audio, the student should be clearly able to hear it, and they should properly see it to understand the learning resource. Ensuring learner participation and interaction. The learning resource should be such that it engages the students and they are actively participating in the class. Integration with teaching method. We cannot finish off a chapter simply on the basis of a learning resource. We should give smooth transformation between the text and the learning resources, so that the chapter does not feel overwhelming for the students. Evaluation of effectiveness. At the end of the chapter, which is done with the help of a learning resource, we should conduct tests and ask the student for their feedback, so that we understand whether the use of our learning resource was useful to them and did they learn anything from it. If not, then we need to change our learning resource and adapt accordingly. From this slide onwards, I have provided some of the examples of the learning resources. First is the textbooks. The textbooks are the essential and the basic resources that are provided to students and teachers for the educational method. Next, we have models, which are not always provided to the students, but if the teacher takes initiative of making the models, they can easily show it to the students. The models are the 3D representations of any chapter or lesson or human organs or plants, anything that it would be, and it is used for better understanding of the lesson. Here are the other two examples for the learning resources. First, the charts and the diagrams. The charts and diagrams can be drawn on a big art paper and shown in the class. It can also have printed out pictures, will help in the understanding of various kinds of lessons. Computer assisted learning. As we know, we are living in the world of AI, so it helps us in understanding meaning, and then it is used for various practical classes, and it can be used for pre-recorded lectures, multimedia PPTs, and the students also get to practice and understand the lesson better with the help of the computers. It keeps a track of their progress, which also helps the teachers for evaluation. In conclusion, it could be said that learning resources are the backbone of modern education. They help the students as well as the teachers. It makes learning fun, engaging, and it is a very progressive method of teaching. They are very much helpful in retaining information by the students, and it does not make the learning feel a burden for the students. They are engaging, multi-sensory, and they have been proven to be very influential in the better academic performance for the students. Thank you for listening patiently to my presentation.